Well, hello, Flickering Myth family, and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ, and in this video, we have a big, explosive, wild movie to talk about. Okay, not so wild, pretty explosive. Yes, we are talking about Christopher Nolan's new movie, Oppenheimer. Is this a safe space where I can be honest with you all? I've been pretty clear with this since basically this man started his career. I'm never the biggest Christopher Nolan fan. I appreciate his work. I think he is a very savvy filmmaker, very good at his technical ability. I think he has one major flaw in his filmmaking oeuvre that we will talk about in a bit in this review. But overall, I like what Christopher Nolan does. I think he's a cool guy. I think he has a very interesting perspective on movies. I enjoy when he's putting something out because one, it starts a major conversation. Oppenheimer for a movie that I don't think deserves the memes and all that around it. It's wild that there's been such a big conversation about a 3 hour historical drama. This movie is it's like I don't want to say a Lifetime movie. It's like a step above like a History Channel documentary. It is dry, not dull. It is pretty dry though. There is some moments of levity where I think the script actually has a bit of a faster pace than most Nolan movies. Very quick. The wit is quick. The dialogue is quick. This movie is snappy in the sense of dialogue. In pacing, my goodness, we spend hours, literal hours on things that I'm like, this could have been an email. Like, baby, we could have got this done very quickly, but we just drag things out in this movie for characters that I'm not invested in. This movie is filled with the worst of the worst. Like, everyone in this movie is insufferable. Very good acting. Like, we will talk about the acting in a moment. One, how our lead actor gets outshined. But overall, I just don't like any of the people. And then they're doing some pretty horrible things. So then it's just like, unlikable people doing unlikable things. I'm like, I can only tolerate that in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't need it in a movie like this where I'm supposed to be invested in what happens. I'm more like thinking about, I guess, Nolan wants to make you think about, nuclear war and how we are flawed as humans. I think that there's conversations that are started here, but I just didn't like the movie. Like, again, it's such a weird thing because I'm probably going to give this a positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it is a very well-made movie. I think there's some serious Academy Awards potential here for some nominations, maybe even a win. That supporting actor win. We will talk about acting. But yeah, overall, look, this is a well-made movie that honestly I don't think I'm ever going to watch again. Oppenheimer follows the story of Robert Oppenheimer, played by Cillian Murphy, who is the father of the atomic bomb. He is a scientist who's always been so driven by a spark. This idea of this crazy explosion in this world where we're stepping into quantum, like not quantum mania, but it's very science, and this man is very in love with what he does. So he's kind of by a lot of meeting other people who meets other people who meets other people. The movie only picks up when Matt Damon's character comes on and they really start the Manhattan Project. Before the Manhattan Project officially starts, I was a bit bored by some of this, but yes, Oppenheimer's brought on to the Manhattan Project. He's basically told to make a weapon, and he is warned by certain people to not make this. He's even feeling odd about it himself, but the love of science is drawing into this. And then when this weapon is used for mass destruction, he's just like, wow, I cannot believe this nuke that I created did exactly what I created it to do. It's a weird conversation, and I like that this movie does so much to show you his perspective, Oppenheimer's, and also give you the outside world, and they do that in a visual way by showing the objective stuff, the stuff that we know is other people talking about Oppenheimer to Oppenheimer around the situation. That's usually in black and white. If it is in color in this movie, we're seeing it from what I believe Oppenheimer's point of view. This is what he's lived. This is his experience. Everything in black and white is dealing with other characters who are dealing with Oppenheimer. So I like that they really show that, again, visually. That is probably my favorite part of this, is that visual distinction, is seeing, again, Nolan directing. I'm not going to be worried there. Writing, next section, we'll talk about the script. But yeah, again, I like this idea, and what happens here is very interesting, for a historical drama. This movie is not going to do well with general audiences. My audience liked it, but it was definitely an advanced screening filled with a lot of film nerds or the same 5 old people who go to every free press screening that they give out. Yeah, it's going to find an audience, but I don't think it's going to be the massive explosive hit that one Barbie's going to be, or one that I think Christopher Nolan fans think this movie's going to be, with all the hype, with all the Barbieheimer shit going on. I think people think this movie is going to be a different movie. I knew what it was going to be, but I think there's definitely, we should temper expectations. This is a drama for grown-ups. This is not a fun explosive war film. This is a dry drama. There's some fun here, very interesting character actors, very interesting characters, but still do not expect a wild explosive movie. Expect a lot of exposition and to be talked at by a lot of smart people. In the recent years, I've come to the conclusion that I particularly do not like Christopher Nolan scripts when it's just Christopher Nolan writing it. When there's David S. Goyer for Batman Begins, or Jonathan Nolan, who he's infamously worked with on some of, I think, his best work. I love those moments. But, the last couple ones, Tenet, what was it, Dunkirk, it's definitely Nolan working by himself, and it feels like that. I feel like there's not okay. I don't feel like there is someone in the room saying, hey, what if we just chopped out this, 14 pages of exposition? What if we moved pieces of the story around to make it a bit more compelling? There's just something here that I feel like Nolan has his vision, has what he wants to do, but as a producer of this, but also the writer, but also the director, nobody's telling him, sis, this isn't a good choice. And I think the script could have definitely been red penned, maybe cut 20 minutes out of it somewhere. Who knows? But also, I think there's a lot of character stuff that I'm like, one, why is this person here? We meet characters like Josh Peck is here as the dude, and they give him such an introduction, but he's the dude who presses the button. There's so many cameos, and it becomes distracting. There's so many characters. There's the stuff with Einstein, which I found interesting, so I wanted some more of that stuff. But what really got me, where I think Nolan shines the most writing-wise, is like the last 45 minutes, when it's like twist on top of twist, not twist how you think, but we're finding out who is the bad people, who's been working for who, what's going on, and I'm like, this is compelling. This is like, it brought me back to like 12 Angry Men, like those legal dramas, like To Kill a Mockingbird. It brought me back to like classic legal dramas, and I'm like, bro, Nolan, stop with all this other stuff. Get to where we need to go, because there's so much goodies here. Honestly, if this movie was a straight up legal drama and skipped a lot of the Oppenheimer, his backstory with his wife, his mistresses, a lot of his contemplation by himself moments, this could have been a lot stronger. I guess maybe to me, Oppenheimer is the least interesting character in the movie named after him. I'm so much more invested in some of the military people, like Matt Damon's character. I really think Robert Downey Jr., Strauss, is this movie. Like, he is the moment, the truth. We'll talk about, again, acting in my next section and what I think will get nominations and all that. But truly, this script could be good. I just feel like at times it focused on the people who I didn't want it to focus on. I felt like it was a bit cluttered and weighed down by exposition. There was things here that, again, I don't think this movie is bad, but there was some things, like a roadblock in the way from keeping me from going from I like it to I love it. Acting, look, whoa. Cillian Murphy is a fantastic actor. I've always wanted him to have this leading role, but maybe I regret that because I don't feel like he is a leading man in this movie. I feel like his supporting cast walks all over him. I mean, Emily Blunt has a scene in this movie. It's Christopher Nolan. None of the women have good, compelling roles. My goodness, Nolan and writing women, still to this day, cannot do it, I think. But, Emily Blunt has a really interesting moment here that I thought, stole anything that, Cillian Murphy's going to do. Robert Downey Jr., he is my pick for any nominations. If I'm going to pick one actor from this entire movie to push forward at the Oscars, it's RDJ. This is him coming off of those decades of Iron Man, proving he can still act. He is eating this movie up. I loved a lot of people, like Alden Ehrenreich. Didn't think he would be as good as him. Rami Malek is an actor I often make fun of, but hell, he's interesting in his small role here. Florence Pugh's here. Yay. I really like this actress, but my goodness, they give her a tedious role. There's a lot of actors. I could just go, Safdie's in this. There's just so many people in this movie, and I think they all do well. The acting is not the issue I have here. I just definitely think Oppenheimer as the lead is played by an actor who feels a bit too supporting as an actor. He doesn't have that commanding leading man role. Like, if I think of a classic Christopher Nolan leading man. It's Leonardo DiCaprio Inception. We have, Christian Bale in the Dark Knight era. We have protagonist John David Washington. I think he has stronger protagonist in the other movies. This movie that is about Oppenheimer, that should be this big epic about this man, I find him to be the least interesting person in this whole thing. I talked about Oppenheimer way more than I ever thought I could. I will say it again, I like this movie. I'm going to give it a positive score on Rotten Tomatoes, even if I feel like I was nitpicking it. Because again, you're going to find 1,000 reviews that are just praising this for being a masterpiece. I'm going to be honest, it's not that for me, but I definitely appreciate it. And if you did love this movie, I hope you really, really enjoyed it and can see some of my negatives I brought up as not a way to bring the movie down, but just kind of open up a conversation about this movie that is good, but I think could have been a lot better. Ugh, it's hard. It's a tough one to review. Sometimes I feel like I should have just reviewed Barbie last night and not this one. But anyways, that is it for my review of Oppenheimer. What did you think of this review? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Let's talk about this explosive movie right down below.